Next up, then, I can move on down to my content area. And in my content area, I can change the background and I can change also my headers. My suggestion to you is stick with dark text over a light background. Do not go and start changing your background to something really dark and heavy. It's harder on the eye to read light text over a dark background. And if you do change anything other than white, I would go nothing more than a light gray. At most one of these light colors, but really these are getting kind of distracting as well. So keep it simple in your content area. That's where your message is. That's where your information is. You want it easily read. I'm going to stick with white. And I would caution against using an image. If you use an image, nothing more than a really simple texture like one of these from the website here, like this paper fibers one. Even that's a little bit hard, I think, for text to be over the top of it. So keep it simple. From here, then, in my content area, I can start changing my fonts. So you can change your headers, H2, H3, and H4, all those different levels, and your page title. My page title, I want to stick with that Josephine Sands, so I can go in and start changing my fonts to those. And then in the body text, oh, went too far, I'm going to set that to that Merriweather. Oh, I'm just scrolling right past it. Josephine Sands, there we go. And I'm really liking the 10-point as the default size. I wouldn't go any much larger. Oops, sorry, it wasn't that. It would be 24. I think that works really well. And then I can also change the color. I might repeat that color from the header, or I might pick another color that kind of goes along with it. I might choose something like a purple. Again, keeping it simple, nothing too crazy. Then in the content area, if I scroll on down, there's text. This is where I'm going to change it to Merriweather. I'm not going to see a preview happen here because I don't have any text in my content area beyond the header yet. So I'll have to populate that information to really see it in preview. And I think I want to keep that at least a 12-point font. Really 10-point is pretty small. You want to keep your body text large and legible, but not too crazy. The next thing I can look at is my sidebar gadget. And my sidebar gadget, I really am not liking this blue color. I want to keep it consistent. So I think I'm going to play around with these purple and teal colors for that. So again, my title, and I can change the font, the text font for all of these. I think I'm going to still stick with the Josephine Sands. I just keep passing by this. There we go. You can also change the background color of your sidebar gadget. I might transition that to maybe a light gray, pull in some of the grays from the background to separate it from the content area just a bit. So really this comes down to some experimentation on your part, but I would suggest keep your fonts simple. Don't use more than 2, at most 3 fonts for your website, because if you start playing around with fonts too much, it's going to be hard for the viewer to find what they're looking for. You can guide them through setting up that visual hierarchy by denoting header fonts and body text fonts. From there, then I can also play around with more of these settings. I'll work on this in between this and the next video and show you kind of the final product. And then I can also go into my horizontal navigation and change background color of those tabs and the text. But I can also change, most importantly, the layout. I think it's very cluttered with everything on the left. So I'm going to go to Layout and push that over to the right. I might give them a gray background, kind of like my nav bar, my sidebar over here. And text, again, I can change that to be consistent with my other fonts to that Josephine Sands. I can also change the color. I can change the size. I might make that slightly larger. And I can also change the hover color when someone hovers over the text. And so that's kind of a fun option as well. I might change the hover hover color to the same color as my header here. You won't see it again in a preview because I'm not actively hovering over something. It's not an active website at the moment.